I saw that they had them in stock. So it's nice to see those things, and now would be the time to get it. These are 3/4 pint jars. I don't know if that's something that interests you, but it interests me, and so I thought I would share it. The jar rings use up. I just fell in the tote. Hey, what's up? My name is Crystal. Welcome to our channel. We are in my basement today so I can go over the canning supplies that we have for this year, for 2022. Where do we store our canning supplies? Well, we still store them at the bottom of our basement stairs. Our kitchen is right on the other side. We have shelving right next to that door. Whenever I'm done with the jar and it's all clean and ready to get put back down here, I have it right next to the basement stairs. So when we come down here to either put wood in the wood stove, or we also have our grow lights down here for our seedlings. We're always coming down to the basement for something, so bringing the jars down here is not a problem. There's so many things that we store and keep on hand for canning, and it's nice having this spot right here that's out of the way from being upstairs. We have a very small kitchen, so it's not like we can store all this stuff up there. Having it down here, it's really easy for us to get to. The metal shelving that we have has worked out really, really well for storing our canning stuff. Some of the plastic shelving we have has a tendency to bow down a little bit, and the metal shelving holds the weight of all the canning supplies really well, and I like it. We store them in the same exact spot we did last year, but we did make some changes to how we store the things. The jar rings here, these are the rings that go around the lid of the jar when you're canning them. We always have lots of rings. For the longest time, we couldn't figure out how to store them, so it would be easy for me to grab ones that I need. Now I keep a couple in a container inside my canning stuff, so when I bring it upstairs, I already have the rings available. But if I need more, it was always kind of a pain for me to get them because I'd keep them in a bag or a container of some sort. We use these bungees. Steve seems to think these are from the dollar store. We've got the rings here sitting on the bungee cord. It works out really, really nicely. Keeps them out of the way, but at the same time, really easy to access if I need more upstairs. The other change we made is with how I store my pressure canner and the lids to some of the things up there. I wanted to utilize more of the space in the top shelf by stacking things on top of the canners, like empty boxes and stuff like that. And even on the pressure canner, we got some new stuff and it was taking up room. I wanted to put my Waterbath canner on top of my pressure canner. I didn't want to risk damaging any components of the pressure canner. So this is the pressure gauge here. I just don't want this to get cracked or anything like that. So I keep it inside this heavy duty bag, and then I store it upside down so that the gauge sits inside of the canner, and then I know that it won't get bumped around or anything like that. And then I put the Waterbath canner on top of that. I know that the lid to the pressure canner is protected well, and I'm able to stack other things on top of it. Alright, so where do we buy our canning supplies? It's either Walmart, Target, or Tractor Supply. I recently saw that a couple of our grocery stores are now carrying more canning supplies than I've seen before. So I did see that they had them. They are not the cheapest. If I really needed something, I know that my grocery store had things like lids and jars. As far as the stock of supplies, I was recently in Target and they had plenty of things. I didn't have the boxes of just the replacement lids, but they had plenty of the replacement lids and rings. They also had plenty of jars. From the last time I saw, Walmart had plenty. They had plenty available online also for shipping to your house. They had replacement lids like for $2 or $3, and you could have them sent to your house. I know that I've gotten them before when I do my grocery pickups. I rarely go into the store grocery shopping. I know Target drive up or pick up, you can add canning supplies to your order and they'll bring it out to your car for you. Same thing with Walmart grocery pickup. I don't need any, but I did see that they have lids in stock if I needed to add them to my order, which is nice. I also saw that they had all the other canning supplies that you might need, like a Waterbath canner or any of the tools that you need. I saw that they had them in stock. So it's nice to see those things, and now would be the time to get it. I know we can typically all year round different things depending on what I have to can. So if I have frozen vegetables like frozen tomatoes I canned in December, the bone broth I canned in January. So we can all year round, but for most people their canning season is when the gardening season is, because that's when we're trying to preserve the stuff that we grow. And so if you know that you're going to be needing lids, jars, rings, whatever it is that you need, get it now when they have it in stock, and then you won't have to worry about it. You know, I just pick up a box here and there. So if I'm in, they're only a couple, $2 or $3 for a box of replacement lids. When I'm in Walmart or whatever and I see that they have them in stock, I don't clean out the shelf. I just grab a box or two and add it to our little stockpile here, and I know I'll have plenty and I don't have to worry about it. I also save, you're technically not supposed to reuse lids. I save most of the ones that we can with, and there's a couple reasons for that. One, some of them, even though that there's the indent on them, the seals aren't that bad. So if I really needed lids, I know I have a couple here that I could possibly take a risk and reuse at some point. The other thing is that I do like to store dry goods inside jars, and if I run out of my replacement plastic lids, I know I can use one of these to store dry goods. So I do keep a collection of used lids also. I really like these dissolvable labels too. You can write on them and stick them on the side of the jar. They look really cute, and then they just wash right off. That way, if you do want to reuse your lids, there's nothing written on it, and you can use it for something else. The other reason why I like these is the label stays on the jar when you're still using it. If I take the metal lid off and use one of the plastic screw-on ones that's easier for the kids to open and close, then it will still be labeled on the side. Whereas when I write on the metal lid, if I take it off and I go to use a plastic one, then, you know, it won't be labeled anymore, and, you know, the kids might not know that it's strawberry jam or something. And then we did add some things to our list of items for 2022 that's different from 2021, and I'll show that now. So I got an electric water bath canner for Christmas. The only time I've used it so far is to reheat the bone broth before I canned it, but I'm really excited to use this electric water bath canner to water bath can other things. We have propane, and so we have a gas stove, and it gets a little hot, especially in the summertime, working over the stove like that. So having an electric water bath canner will be really nice. The second new thing is I found these jars that I've never seen before. I think I got them in Walmart. There was this jar size that's really fun. These are 3/4 pint jars. Aren't they neat? I haven't even opened it yet. I don't even want to open it yet. But they are pretty much, they're the size of a jelly jar, like a regular mouth jelly jar, but they're 3/4 pint. So normally a jelly jar is a half pint. These are 3/4 pint. So they're narrow and taller, and it would just be really good for when I camp jams and stuff, or the cowboy candy. Having a size like that is really gonna be handy, and I'm excited about it. I don't know if that's something that interests you, but it interests me, and so I thought I would share it. Oh, another thing I got for Christmas is this fermentation kit. I've never made a ferment before, so I'm kind of excited to try and do that this year. Up here I have a couple cases of jars that are new. They're the 12 pint wide mouth jars and lids. They come with everything. And then these are just a bunch of empty boxes that we store. All the things that fill these boxes normally are up in our pantry, full of delicious foods. These are empty, waiting for them, the jars, to come back down here so that we can store them safely. What else do I have back here? These are just boxes of lids and bands. I have regular mouth and wide mouth. These are just the containers that we used to get lunch meat in, and so I have these. I save containers that we get, and I use them for everything. I grab this when I'm canning, and I bring it upstairs, and it's just got the bands, brand new lids in here, as well as the water soluble labels that I have started to really enjoy using. Having small containers like this that I can just grab and easily bring upstairs. Like I said before, my kitchen's not very big and I don't have a lot of room up there. Being able to store things downstairs like this and being able to easily grab what I need to bring it up the stairs, it's just, it makes it easier and help keep me organized also. I have my water bath canner. It is so nice. I love it. But on top of it, I have this fun box of bands. This container is from the dollar store, and I have all of these brand new, perfectly intact bands. This is the water bath canner, and I can for sure show more about this when I go to use it this year. But I keep the lid inside a heavy-duty plastic bag. I have it in there, and then I store it upside down so that the handle sits inside the mouth of the canner. And then inside the canner, I have this funnel here. It has measurements for headspace. for Christmas I got this really cool ladle that sits right on the side of the opening of the canner. I don't have to worry about setting it down onto the countertop, and it's perfect for pouring into the funnel. More bands. I also have the jar lifters. I've had these for a few years now and they just have held up really well and I like them. This is to help you lift canning jars in and out of the Waterbath canner and the rack that the jars sit on. And then I would say the most basic thing that you would need if you're canning is just a basic Waterbath canner, but you really don't need that. You just need a good stock pot that you can fit a decent amount of jars into if you're able to get the rack that sits on the bottom so that the jars aren't directly sitting on the bottom. I've seen people make them out of the bands. I've also seen people make it out of tin foil. So you just need some sort of rack on the bottom. But here is my granite ware Waterbath canner. It's got my rusty rack that sits on the bottom. The bubble tool is good for getting the air out of whatever it is that you're canning, and then the bubble tool also measures headspace, so that's really handy. Here's the lid magnet. It was used to be required that you boiled the jar lids, and you don't really need to do that now, so I actually don't even use that anymore. And we have the pressure canner. There's just the racks at the bottom and then the instructions that go with it and the pressure regulator. That's all that's in there. So some of the jar sizes that I have still that I haven't used yet, we've got these ones here that I already showed you. These are all pint jars right here, wide mouth and regular mouth. I have the half pint wide mouth jars. These are so good if you want something that you can serve from, because the wide mouth is really easy to like dip chips into. These are wide mouth quart size jars. I have the 3/4 pint jars that I already showed you, and then this is just a collection of all sorts of sizes and stuff. And then I also have some half-gallon size jars down here. I've had these down here for a while. These half-gallon sizes, they're really big. I typically would use something like that to store dry goods like flour or sugar, things like that. The other thing that I use a lot is our roaster. It's an 18-quart roaster. I think I bought this in 2020. It has made canning anything so much easier. I don't use it for canning things, but I use it to make the things that I do end up canning. Cooking down the tomatoes, especially if they're frozen, once they're defrosted, just putting them in here and letting them sit and cook down. It's just, most recently I used it for making the bone broth. So I had this on my counter for, I don't know, at least 2 days, cooking the bone broth down. It's just a really great appliance to have. It does take up a lot of room, but I use it many times throughout the year. It's also great for what it is, which is a roaster oven, and I've made turkeys in it, chicken and beef and all sorts of different things in here, and I just really, really like it. It is more than a oversized crock pot. It is actually made for roasting. I really like it. It's just a great appliance to have, and if you don't have one, I do recommend getting one, and they're really not that expensive. From what I remember, it wasn't that much. Now, to recap how we store our jars, I talked about this in a video last year, but I'll talk about it again. We save the boxes that the jars come in, the boxes, and then we also save the dividers. So the square dividers that come with it. All these boxes are empty because they're full of food up in my pantry. But we save all of these boxes and the dividers, and when we're done with something after, so this probably had jelly in it, when I come downstairs, I just put it back in upside down, just like this, upside down. Even though I'll end up washing these again before I can with them, it just helps to keep the dust out. Usually going into winter, sometimes mice get into our basement. We live in the woods, so the mice get into our basement sometimes. It just keeps the inside of the jars clean, and it also helps to protect the rim of the jar from chipping or cracking by having it upside down in the box like this. And then they stack really nicely on top of each other. Alright, so that'll do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up or subscribe. We would love to have you. If you have any tips on how to store your canning supplies, or if you do any of these things behind me, let me know in the comments below. We would appreciate it. We would love to hear from you. Say hi in the comments. We would love that. But that'll do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.